Virus: The Battlefield is a very unusual yet unique card-style combat game that was released for the PlayStation in Japan only in 1998. And this game would be the second in a series of games that originally started off on the Sega Saturn, with the original game being an actual adventure game that would later be adapted into an anime television series in 1997, with the release of a few novels and books to complement the series. And the second game that was developed for the PlayStation would primarily be a card battle game, which was set in the distant future. And the game would comprise of a multitude of different game modes, being able to play through like a story element mode, and even play against your friends, and even a database mode to utilise any special features that you've unlocked throughout play. Now, there's very little information regarding the game that you can find online. There is a few elements and articles that you can find here or there that give you small snippets of what is entailed in the game, but for most the game is very unknown and literally unheard of. So with the game itself, the story mode is divided into a variety of different missions, and with each mission you have to battle against a different enemy, and the goal is to utilise the cards that you have at your disposal. Each have their own strengths and weaknesses and attributes that can give you an advantage or hinder your progress as you play, but your opponents can also utilise the same effect, so they can use cards to slow down your turns or even stop you from taking the next turn, so that they can get a couple of turns in return to utilise more attacks against you, but you can do the same against them. So it's really all strategy focused. It's a strategy puzzle game essentially. Now, if you're a fan of card based battle games, because funnily enough in modern games card games are starting to become quite popular again, especially with the likes of indie games. So it's interesting to see these types of games even being released back then. So they were obviously popular back then, but more so in the likes of Japan. So with regards to the cards that you have when you play, you have anything from different types of even machinery type cards to different types of unique kind of beings, and they all have their own abilities, if you will, and each of them will help you to achieve a variety of different options so that you can progress further into the story, but also to help you to win matches even quicker and to really stop the opponent from gaining an advantage over you. So it is quite a unique prospect, but for those that have played these card battle games or are a fan of them, you'll be quite familiar with them. And even though this game was released in Japan, it doesn't take long to really get a feel for the game and the control elements and to figure out really what to do. And the one thing, even for myself personally, having spent time playing the game, the one thing I can definitely say is that I love the visual style, the anime visuals and the graphics. It really suits the whole tone and vibe of the game, even to a point that the initial intros and video sequence of the game is very dark and in some cases can be quite violent, but then it moves into the card section of the game. So it kind of tells you stories or takes snippets from the anime series itself, but also telling various elements through the card battles themselves, so it will give you more elements of the story the further you progress into the game. So that in itself is a unique idea, especially if you're wanting to learn more and understand more about the actual story of the series. So this will allow you to do that. Now, I know for myself personally, I've played card games in the past and I think they're pretty cool for what they do offer. Now, they wouldn't have been the type of game that I would have played an awful lot back in the day, because I would never really have understood how to really play them as such or to understand the strategies behind them. But over the years I have played a few more of them on different consoles, and I've found that they can be very, very addictive when you really sit down with them and give them a chance. Trying to understand the strategies and to try and outwit the other player or even the computer opponent is an addictive quality in itself. You're always trying to think of the best move or the best abilities that you have at your disposal, and you're always trying to think, well, if I use this card, will it give me an advantage or will it hinder my progress? You're always taking that risk, and I think that's the fun element of it. And to many, like, these games at first you wouldn't think, oh, they're probably boring, but they're really not. They are addictive. That's the funny thing. I found that when I sat down and played this, I got really into it and I found myself wanting to finish the matches that I was playing. Once you started to understand the level of the controls and the complexity of the strategies that were in place, you find that you will get addicted to it. That's the crazy thing about it. So these games are really good, and I can understand why they're starting to see a resurgence and why these games are starting to become popular even in the modern day. Like, you're starting to see a lot of these type of games starting to show up on the likes of Steam that are being created by indie developers, and they are selling in high numbers. So it proves the point that these type of games do appeal to a variety or a certain type of player. So this is just another one of of those games that if you are a fan of these card based strategy games, there's no harm in checking this out. And this might be a hidden gem for you, because again, many people wouldn't even know that this game even exists, so it is worth a try just in that respect. Now I have to say, now for me personally, it's something that's different and I enjoyed my time with it. And even regardless of the language barrier, don't let that deter you, because you can pick it up and get used to the dynamics and the characteristics of the game very quickly, and it doesn't take long for you to understand what cards to choose and what's going to do what in terms of how you can progress in the game. So I'm sure if you're a fan of these type of games, you will enjoy it regardless. So I do recommend that you try it out at least. And I would love to know your thoughts on Virus the Battlefield for the PlayStation 1, if you have played this type of game at all yourself. Are you a fan of these card battle strategy games? And if so, what do you think of them in general? I'd love to hear whatever thoughts you have of this unique game, so be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see more content around other types of strategy games similar to this, then you can check out the playlist here on screen to see more of those games in action. And as always, keep those gaming memories alive.